Protests have been taking place all week in Minnesota demanding justice following the police shooting of Daunte Wright, an unarmed 20-year-old black man and father, during what should have been a routine traffic stop. Now, one of the loudest voices calling for accountability on Daunte's behalf is former President Barack Obama. Obama made a statement saying, in part, that it's important to not only have a full and transparent investigation, but that this also shows how badly we need to reimagine policing and public safety in this country. And Obama isn't the only one that's calling for a sweeping police reform. Vice President Kamala Harris, I just love saying that. She released a statement. She basically said prayers are not enough. Daunte Wright should still be with us. While an investigation is underway, our nation needs justice and healing, and Daunte's family needs to know why their child is dead. They deserve answers. Many are wondering why the police will spend time investigating things like $75,000 robot dogs like that was seen on Fox 5 in New York. This is
So
a robot
scary.
dog that they had. Instead of investigating more effort to try and stop the shootings, which seem to be happening every day. And as of this taping, the officer, Kim Potter, that shot Daunte, is being reported will be charged with second-degree manslaughter. So, ladies, what are your thoughts on the call to action?
I think the call of action is really important. We need transparency. But I feel like, how are we going to do that? If the color of our skin is what's threatening people, if the system is inherently racist, what do we do? Do we give all police officers a lobotomy? Like, how do we change the perception of how they see us? If an air freshener can get a 20-year-old black man killed, what is there to do? I don't understand how to do it. I feel like this could have been one of us. This could have been one of your men. This could have been my son Oliver in that car. And it's just really hard to fathom. And like Kamala said, prayers are not enough. We can't keep doing the same things like hashtag say her name, say his name, and expect different results. And I agree with you, Lonnie, about the robots. Why spend $75,000 on a robot when, you know, there are kids that are hungry, there are people that are homeless? Like, what does that do? Hopefully, maybe the robots will spare a life because they're not guns.
But
they
this
don't
is
have
what
guns,
we're talking about
I
when
don't
we
know.
say defund the police. You're spending money on robots. You know, we're trying to say reallocate that money so that things
Reallocate.
like this don't happen. Just reallocate those funds because that's not needed. But to also prove your point, and I'll let you ladies continue, the Stanford Open Policing Project, they're the largest police stop data collection study ever. They found that black drivers were 20% more likely to be stopped than white drivers, even though the white drivers tend to be, this is from a study, shows that they are more likely to be drug dealers, have illegal things in it. So this is really happening because people will try to say, oh, you guys, this is just one-offs. This is not one-offs. These are studies that are being done. These are investigations that's being done. And you know what, Garcia, we've been saying this for 7 seasons. Things have to change. This is why we say refund, reallocate those funds from the police
Right.
so that we can make a
Right.
better country.
And even when it comes to a deeper issue, how do you train authority to not be racist? Some of these authority figures don't even know that they're racist. Some of them have racial bias or the ability to wrongly racially profile somebody, and that's a bigger issue in itself, just like what you said with the percentage of how many black men are pulled over. How do you train somebody to not have these biases within them? I know that the sheriff that pulled aside the shooter in the Atlanta shooting, he not only came out and gave that horrendous recap of this shooter having a bad day, but he in his Facebook feed had pictures of t-shirts where he was actually purchasing shirts that said the
Kung
China
flu.
virus and the Kung flu. And so he already himself had a problematic past with racism. And so how do you train?
That's
You
what I
can't
mean.
train somebody. These are things that come out in their actions, and unfortunately then a life gets lost in the process. And beyond that, there are also so many questions when it comes to teaching us our rights. I don't know, like if I get wrongly pulled over and I don't want to step out of my car and I don't feel it's safe, as in the example that we saw with Officer Nazario, do I have to step out? Like, how do I stay in the safety of my car, but also get an understanding, why are you making me come out of the car? What answers do I have to have before I have to oblige? Because I'll be honest, being raised first generation Vietnamese, I've learned when they tell you what to do, to just do it. Like if they tell you step out of the car, put your face down on the ground, like I think to do it, but now I'm seeing no, I actually don't trust that I should do it. I've seen time after time examples where people are getting racially profiled and being forced, just by force, on what to do. Officer Nazario did everything to ask, tell me why I'm getting forced to step out of my car. And he never got an answer. And we saw what happened from there. So I just, not only is President Obama right with reimagining, but that term is so loose. Like, where
what
do you
does it
start
look like?
with authority?
Right.
What does it look like? And then what are my rights? When I stand there and I see a man getting a cop putting his knee down on his neck, what can I do? Do I lay my body down in the situation? Do I help George Floyd up? Or am I gonna get shot? Like, I don't know my rights as a civilian.
That's the reason why we have to have these investigations, because every state has different types of laws.
Right.
Daunte got stopped, one, because of a so-called expired tag, but also an air freshener. That's a law that's in that state. And he didn't know it. He only been driving for 2 weeks. He's 20 years old. He's a kid. He was young. Even as a police officer, you would look and say, okay, this is a kid. You got his license.
With
you
a
know how old
misdemeanor.
he is. He's only had it for two. Yeah. It's like, so it's
And
some
when
type
you look at,
of,
when these cops look up your tags and they get this warrant out for his arrest, are they getting more detail behind it? And if you look further into Daunte's case, allegedly that there's a whole mishap that happened with his court hearing that was sent to the wrong address. And
That's right.
So when you just see warrant for their arrest, you're like, oh, here we go, and your hand is on the holster, and it's like, well, where do you go from there?
Lonnie, Garcelle, the show is called The Real. We gonna keep it real.
Right.
We all know why these stories are made up and why this false narrative gets put out there. It is to justify what is happening. And that to me is what is the most infuriating, is when you even I posted it yesterday on my Instagram, and the comments underneath literally blow my, like,
Same.
It is mind-boggling how people will attempt to justify why it was okay for this young man's life to be taken away. From
Adrian,
simple things like, he's not a kid. Lonnie, he's not a kid because he's 20 years old, is not a kid.
He resisted arrest. Nobody who resists arrest deserves to be shot. And by the way, by accident.
Resisting arrest.
Then
He
to
had
say
a
it was
warrant.
by accident.
Yeah, he had a
but the
warrant,
biggest
but they're
thing
like, oh,
is
did you know he missed his...
The biggest thing is that she's been on the force for 26 years. How
That's
could
what
you
I
not?
wanna talk
I've
about.
held a Glock. Anybody held a Glock before? It's got weight
I
to
have
it.
for work, for acting.
It's a big difference. And you have to have the safety on both of them. So there's like 26 years and you make a mistake like that.
When they specifically talk about resisting arrest and, well, that's why they need to listen when they're told to what to do. Those were the comments in my thing, and I was so infuriated. And I actually saw a quote Bernice King posted on Instagram that really stood out to me, and it said, "We live in a world where trained cops can panic and act on impulse, but untrained civilians must remain calm with a gun in their face."
How about that?
So clearly people are attempting to justify what the officer's actions by saying, she got nervous. Oh, she got nervous, so she pulled the trigger on. Guys, again, 25 plus years of training that this woman has gotten, and she got nervous. But a young kid of 20 years old...
Right.
She was on that day in the middle of training another rookie. Like
someone else.
She was actually training another uniformed officer.
Yeah.
So this is the example that they're seeing.
Make it make sense.
Very similar, if you see the officer, I don't have his name, but when Lieutenant Nazario was getting forced out of his car, you saw one officer in place with the body cam that was forcing him to step out of the car. Did you see the other officer on the sideline reluctant to get as involved and wasn't sure if the force was rightfully enforced, but was kind of following the orders of the officer? Again, you have this hierarchy of power that then everybody's guilty. Everybody's guilty because they don't know what to do, and they don't understand that sometimes somebody just being powerful in the wrong way is right.
I
Right.
think it's
so
wild
disheartening.
that we can justify one person's nervous energy, but not justify the other. And by the way, one ended up dead. There's a huge
He's a
difference here, you
20-year-old.
guys.
There's a
He's
huge-
20, and that was 2 weeks.
Even him resisting and running away, that wasn't going to kill her.
No.
But she killed
No.
him.
No, because
And
they
they-
could have
you
caught
Feel
him.
me? Like
They
someone
coulda
running
caught
away
him.
from you doesn't kill you.
Right.
That doesn't
It's
kill
right.
you.
And I don't
just
understand
dumb.
why they don't shoot in the leg. If you shoot someone in the leg, they will not die and you
Great,
can catch
great
them.
point.
Like, if I
They
can
can't
think
do
that,
that.
I'm not a cop. It's insane. We need change, guys. We need change so badly.